I knew you'd partner with those hate-mongers, mutant. Think yourself a hero, do you? Die, bastard!
Hey guys, and welcome back to Leo Gaming. Yes, I have not done a review for quite a while now. I've been trying to test out some Let's Plays, but they don't seem to be going down too well. They don't get many views or likes, so I'm going to give them a miss for a while longer. And I'm going to go back to doing reviews. Now, I am going to start off with this retro review, The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings. This is more in preparation for the enhanced or the upgraded next-gen versions of The Witcher 3, which will be coming to Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5, I believe December, around the same time as Season 2 of the Netflix series hits the tellies. This is being played on the Series X, this game, so it has got auto HDR10 running. So guys, without further ado, let's get straight into my retro review of The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings. The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings is a 2011 action RPG game developed by CD Projekt Red. You play as Geralt of Rivia, the monster hunter known as a Witcher, as one of the few remaining Witchers alive. You begin accused of murder of a king, where from there you follow a path of your choosing, travelling across the continent in order to clear your name and catch the real killer. Guided by a vast array of characters and choices you make, can you keep yourself alive by slashing and fighting your way through beasts and humans alike to bring Geralt back out of the deep hole he finds himself in? The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings.
The KAYRAN's highly venomous.
Any ideas for an antidote?
Your Witcher's metabolism...
So, on to the visuals, guys. For a game that's over 10 years old, it certainly can hold its own in today's visually crisp landscape. The character models all look very clear, the environment and draw distance all looks very good for the time. The visual effects look absolutely stunning for this game, the fire from the dragon's breath to the fog that overlays a lot of the environment. You see, this is my first foray into The Witcher 2, as I'd actually played The Witcher 3 first, so I'd never played the original version on the Xbox 360, thus I cannot make graphical comparisons. But what struck me most in my recent dipping of the toes into The Witcher 2 was the cinematic cutscenes and how visually immersive they were. I even had that fleeting thought, sort of comparing to Metal Gear Solid. With all the fantastic visual achievements, there were certainly a couple of downsides. Firstly being the visual glitches during cutscenes, where as the camera is fixed on the two characters in conversation, in the background you will see an NPC either walking into a wall object and just get stuck in a perpetual walking motion into said object. Now this happened a lot in a lot of the cutscenes. Secondly, you will get a lot of texture or scenery popping, and it's pretty blatant and obvious too. For example, again on the cutscenes, as the cutscene starts off as a close-up of a character, you can see the textures and the poppings on the clothes. Like for example, on Geralt, when the camera was panned very close to him at the start of the cutscene and pulled away, you could see his buttons and the various gadgets on his clothes popping in. These didn't break the immersion or the experience, but they were noticeable. Overall, the graphics and visual elements in this game do still hold up, but just don't expect a Witcher 3 level of open world graphical fidelity. Remember, this game is from 2011. Moving on to the sound, guys, with great ambient sounds, fantastic sound effects, good voice acting to a phenomenal soundtrack. This game does a brilliant job of almost promoting itself as a soundtrack all on its own. To start, you really get a great feel to the environment you traverse with the ambient sound. The sound of wildlife and trees blowing in the wind, sounds of screams or fire burning in the distance really give the impression of events happening around you. The sound effects in this game are good. I mean, as far as to say they're good in that, I didn't notice anything wrong with them. The voice acting is superb and is one of the best assets to the game in delivering each line with emotion and meaning. Although I'm still waiting for Geralt to come out with, "Yennefer, is that lilac and gooseberries I smell?" "No, Geralt, it's not." "Colonel, don't lie to me." I mean, come on guys, we all know Geralt and Snake sound very similar, even to the point where I first played The Witcher 3, I actually thought it was the same voice actor, David Hayter. The soundtrack is absolutely brilliant in this game, guys. It gives so much drama, build-up and suspense to everything, cutscenes and gameplay. The vocals that's synonymous to the Witcher world, especially with intros or title screenshots, whether that be games or series on Netflix. You know the sound, guys. Yes guys, that is actually my vocal at the intro to this video, and my poor attempt at remaking that sound that the Netflix series use and the games use. There is one major issue though with this sound, especially in the opening sequence. The sounds of battle and music outside the tent while talking to Triss is so loud you can't hear the conversation. And this happens a few times throughout the game. But apart from that, the sound in this game is absolutely solid. Moving on to mechanics and gameplay, guys. Well, in this game, you can walk, run and climb. You can draw your weapons, steel or silver swords. You also get a selection of various weapons, from the silver swords, which are for the monsters and the beasts, to various other weapons, axes, and all sorts of different weapons for slaying humans. With the weapons, you can craft your own weapons, or you can go to a blacksmith and buy them with orens that you collect around the world. I do find that it's very difficult to pinpoint where a blacksmith is. I had a lot of trouble running around. I mean, the HUD, the little mini-map, the symbols aren't very clear. Whether it's because it's an older game or not, it was very difficult to establish where the blacksmiths, the shops were, the market stalls, in order to trade and stuff like that. But you can gain various loot and stuff like that around the world to craft, or materials to craft your weapons and armor as well, guys. Obviously, armor and weapons all come with sort of armor ratings and damage ratings and stuff like that. Obviously, the higher the damage rating, the better the weapon. The higher the armor rating, the better the armor. There is one slight problem though with looting. It's very different. This obviously, just remember, in Witcher 3 it was all corrected, but for the purpose of Witcher 2, you don't get, when you're searching stuff or you're looting, you don't get to choose what you take on. So when you search a body, or you search a chest, or you search a drawer, or you search anything, you cannot select what to take out and what to leave. It will literally grab everything without even telling. It just gives you a quick list on the side of the screen as to what you've just grabbed out. So you end up finding that you're bogged down in weight very, very rapidly, and you've just got a load of crap that you don't actually need. Which I try and sort of budget myself, I wouldn't say budget myself, but limit myself. So I'll have a look at my inventory to see what I've got. If I've got 5 of the same swords, I'll make out I'll make sure I've only got 2 or 1, and then try and quickly as possible, if I'm not using it, sell it at the blacksmith to gain some orens. But the crafting system, guys, is okay. I didn't really craft much, I just did more buying than anything. I just bought my weapons and armour, because I just find with crafting's most games, RPGs, are very they always feel very optional. They never feel very forced. It's almost because they give you that option of money. It's the same with the Assassin's Creed, the modern Assassin's Creed. I don't end up crafting. I end up buying everything. Big, like obviously in-game currency. No, you know,
Damn it.
microtransactions. I'm just talking about in-game currency that you collect around the map. But like I say, you use the silver swords for monsters and beasts, which you can enhance with certain oils for different beasts that will give you more damage or more resistance to their attacks and things like that. And you get rune stones that you can apply to your various swords, which again upgrade your stats for that particular weapon or armour. In terms of walking and running is fine, guys. To walk, you just slowly move the analog stick. Run, you push it full whack. Climbing is a bit fiddly. Just remember, guys, this is not a complete open world. Climbing is a bit slow and tedious on this. If you have to go up and climb certain obstacles, it is a bit slow. It does a whole animation. You walk up to the wall, it tells you to press A. You press A on the Xbox controller. And it does an animation, slow animation to climb up or drop down. It's not free reign, so even when and there's very linear paths. It looks like an open world, but the paths are you can't go off path. There's none of this running off path like in The Witcher 3. Again, remember, this is not The Witcher 3, this is The Witcher 2. And so it is an open world, but it's not. So the paths are very linear. So don't expect to go running off into the bushes, because that ain't happening. It's like hitting a brick wall. So also in the game, guys, you get obviously your main missions, which is following the story of Geralt and how he's trying to clear his name. You meet various characters along the way within the Witcher world. Again, these are all brilliant characters. They're all so... every time you meet a character, you do get a sort of biography on them. You do get a lot of information within this game, like for example within loot, you get books, you get notes and stuff like that, and it doesn't necessarily tell you to read them. You kind of have to go into your inventory and find them yourself, because with some of the missions it tells you that you have to try and you have to find something. Or for example, one of the side missions was a NEKKER mission, and you have to try and obviously destroy the NEKKERs around Flotsam. Now, I couldn't work out where they were, how to do it. It doesn't tell you. The only thing with The Witcher 2, a lot of the missions and the side missions, it doesn't tell you where these things are. You kind of have to. You kind of have to find the information out for yourself. It's good in a way, but it is still some difficult. It took me ages to work out where the hell a NEKKER was. It said I had to read a book, and I'm thinking, where do I get the book from? And I couldn't find the library. Now, eventually, after about 2 hours of scouring Flotsam and nearly every single building, I found the library. There was no symbol for it. There was nothing to say that was a library. It just happened. I walked in, spoke to the bloke, the dwarf that was in there, and it was a library, and he was trading, so I bought the book on NEKKERs, and then suddenly it gives you the information on how to defeat the NEKKERs and where they are and what you've got to do. Hence then I could go and complete the side missions. Now you get that with a lot of the side missions in this game. It's very sort of, you kind of happen or a chance upon the bit of information you need rather. So what I ended up doing halfway through this game is basically scrapping the side missions, and if I happen to come across any information that helped me on the side mission, I would then go and do it. But then I just stuck to the main missions. So the side missions are sort of more the beast slaying side of things, where you go out and try and destroy various beasts, and then the main missions obviously follows the story arc and stuff like that. During the game, obviously, when you complete various missions and side missions, you gain I don't know if it's XP actually. I mean, yeah, I think it's XP. Well, you gain you level up basically, and with each level up you gain an amount of skill points to plough into the skill tree. The skill tree is very basic. I like it, to be honest. It's simplistic. Witcher 3, the skill tree gets a bit confusing and a bit sort of, I just find some games when they go over the top of the skill tree, it gets a bit confusing. This one's very simplistic. Three sections, 3 little tree branches coming out, and obviously each little skill you can upgrade twice, and then it will be maxed out. But it's a very simplistic skill tree, which I do like and prefer. So yes, you can also brew your own potions and stuff like that. Like, for example, with some of the missions, you needed to follow a blood trail, but in order to do that, you needed to use cat's eyes, a cat's potion, which gives you like see in the dark cat's eyes sort of thing, and you can see the blood trail and follow it. But yes, so that is all sort of more to do with the crafting and elements like that. You do get, you can meditate. Again, it did take me a while to, see, none of this tells you, it doesn't tell any of you any of this. It took me ages to work out how to actually brew a potion. I couldn't work it out. I just couldn't. I was going in my inventory thinking, well, why is it not crafting? Why am I not brewing any potions? Then I realised, you've got to go into, I forgot from the tutorial, you've got to go into the meditating mode. And then from the meditating mode, then you can go into brewing and alchemy and stuff like that and all those sort of bits and bobs. Also, guys, in order to gain some of these side missions, you either get a notice board in the centre of town and you collect some notes, and they'll basically be people paying for you to hunt down a certain beast, and it will automatically go into your quest list. But to find some of the side quests via the people on the street, again, it's very difficult to find out who they are. I ended up finding sometimes I was just trying to talk to everyone to see if there's any side missions. I was literally talking to everyone in a town square to find out whether or not it was there was a side mission. But I did realise eventually that the green dots on the minimap are the side quests where you can gain the side quests from. But again, it doesn't tell you that. You kind of have to work all this out for yourself. Guys, with the combat is okay. I don't find it brilliant. I find it a little bit repetitive. It's not as good as number 3. I just found it a little bit repetitive, a bit boring, to be honest. I didn't find the combat that brilliant. It felt nice when you sort of the sound effect, the slicing and the blood splattering everywhere, but I just found it a little bit boring. It just didn't excite me as much as, it didn't feel as in depth as number 3. It just felt more like I could use the same attack for any beast, and that was it. I mean, it does say you can use certain spells and concoctions against certain beasts and monsters, but I just found I could use the same one. It would work on every single one. So the difficulty level though on this game is very hard, especially when you do the first big boss, the KAYRAN, the big sort of octopus looking thing in Flotsam. That is very, very difficult. I struggled with it. I thought, is this the first one? And it was very, very difficult. It took me several attempts to get that. Geralt also has, rather than just his weapons, he has spells as well, the usual ones, Axie, Arden and stuff like that can either set enemies aflame or give them a sort of psychokinetic charge and push them back and stuff like that. You also get random events around the map. You get these fight contests you can enter, where you get this sort of timed button mashing of fight sequences. You got to defeat sort of four enemies, and you win. Also, that comes with the same with arm wrestling. Again, that's quite a difficult one. You got to try and keep the little circle within the thing to keep the bar to keep it heading your way, so you can win. And you just get various random encounters. Again, guys, it's not as far-fetched as number 3, but it all helps towards this game. You got to remember this is from 2011, so this game at the time, all of this was wow, fantastic. But playing it now, after playing several games, this is why retro reviews are good, because it just shows you the progress that has been made from back then to now. But back then, all of this would have been absolutely fantastic. It still is, but it does feel dated in a lot of what it does. Also with this game, guys, being an RPG, when you have the cinematic cutscene conversations, you do get the dialogue options. And the good thing, a brilliant thing about this game is they do make a difference. Each decision you make, each character you upset or don't upset, each character you please or don't please, it will have an effect to the ending or to the outcome of a certain situation within the game. That is what makes this such a brilliant RPG. Decisions, dialogue options do make the difference, and the good thing is your decisions you have within this game will affect, and you can bring those decisions across onto The Witcher 3. So guys, if you do want to play The Witcher 2 then The Witcher 3, your decision making and what you do on The Witcher 2 will affect the outcome and what happens within The Witcher 3. So guys, that is most of the mechanics in gameplay. I haven't covered everything. There's a lot to get through. But yeah, that is my retro review of The Witcher 2 Assassins of Kings. Guys, if you do like my content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe buttons, and I will plow out another review within the next week. Guys, enjoy your days, weeks, your months, or even your years. I'll be there for you. I think I used that in the last video. Anyway, guys, love you all. Goodbye.